Right, comment first. Yeah.
And then I forgot.
Yeah.
Where is it, Steve? Coffee?
Allowed to make my own. Does anybody else want one?
Not at that.
Okay, we're live on YouTube.
We will call the meeting to order. Okay, the whole meeting of September 23rd, we do have a quorum. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting within the lands of the Witchem settlement area and adjacent to the Inuvik settlement region. As we gather here today, let us remember the significance of this land and the Witchem people and commit to working towards a respectful and collaborative relationship with all Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Item 2, adoption of the agenda. Any comments? None. Item 3, declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Anyone? Nothing. Item 4, delegations, presentations, or petitions. Do we have any? No. Item 5.
It'll be in
Sorry,
later.
sorry. Public question period. Item 6, adoption of the minutes of September 9th and 11th, 2024 council meetings. Any comments, corrections? Seeing none. 7 action items. 7.1 is the action items list. Any comments? None. Item 8, new business. 8.1, request for council decision on donation of space at the Midnight Sun Complex for the Girl Guides. We have a representative here from the Girl Guides. No?
Yep, oh, hi.
If you'd like to have a seat and turn your microphone on.
Just the green light?
Yeah.
Does council have any questions? Would you like to give a very brief presentation on your request?
Did you have a question, Tony?
Sorry.
or-
That's Councilor Devlin, sorry.
Thank you very much. Perhaps you should do a little bit of a presentation first. Thank you.
Sure. Do I have to push talk?
You are talking,
Yes.
you are on.
So thank you for having us here. My name is Amanda. I've been with guiding in Inuvik for about 10 years now. The program is a youth program for children who are female or identify as female. We have several branches starting as young as age 5 with our Sparks and Embers. We actually just met tonight, so I was with a few of the girls and then came over here. Up to ages, the program runs up to age 18. In Inuvik right now, we've got volunteers to be able to run a Spark, Ember, Guide, and Pathfinder program. So that takes us up to about age 15. It's a program where we do outdoor skills, STEM activities. It's really driven by the interests of the youth that come. Camping, field trips around town. We visited the fire hall in the past. We've gone camping out at Chuck Park. We've practiced fire safety and even cooking over the campfire. We visit the Research Institute. So it's just a really fun girl-driven youth initiative. We meet once a week. I recognize some parents in the room. So please ask me any questions, and we're always grateful to have a space because we're volunteer run and a not-for-profit. We do sell cookies, which you also might know us from, but we try to use that money for renting camp spaces, renting the pool for a pool party, buying supplies and badges. So we don't have much of a budget to pay for rental, so we always appreciate having a space to meet.
Thank you. Questions? Councilor Kulikowski.
Just on that same thread,
is it a barrier free then, that parents don't have to pay any fees or anything, and so that's why the pot of money just stays kind of at that lower level?
So we do have there is a membership fee. Inuvik is actually the lowest in Canada because we keep our costs low. And there's also a program where if there is an issue with payment, there's a program where Girl Guides will sponsor and pay for a child. So it's meant to be, if you can pay to pay, but if you can't pay, Girl Guides has, as a national organization, funds available to make it accessible.
Other questions? I'm just curious, how big is your group?
So as of this year, we currently have 16 youth in the Sparks and Ember program, and then 3 full-time guiders, which are the adults. Unfortunately, they're all out of town except for me. Our guiding program, which is the 9 to 12-year-olds, there's about 12 girls registered in it now. Unfortunately, the past couple of years, we haven't had adults to run the program, so it previously was up to 20 is the maximum, and it's always been full, but because it was off for a few years, we've seen some lower numbers, and we're hoping it'll grow up again, and Pathfinders has 5 girls registered.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Merrill, did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Anyone else? Councillor Devlin?
Thank you, Mayor. I think you guys do an awesome job, certainly on the youth empowerment front and with girls. And I don't want to put up any barriers to you. I just like, we do have a purpose-built space for youth programming and even with the youth center. And I won't speak for the current board or the current programming, but it has traditionally been rather underused in the evenings. And it does offer quite a bit of space. So I'm just suggesting that perhaps you can look into that as an alternate space as well for some of your programming as well. That is a space that, like I said, has been traditionally underused in the evenings and is purpose-built for this and has supported programs such as the Junior Rangers in the past as a sort of a secondary program. You don't want to lose him right now. So, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Councillor Devlin. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll take it under consideration. Moving on, item 8.2, variance request for the new office building at 100 Mackenzie Road. I believe that's the IRC, and it's basically twinning their present office building. You've all read the handout that's here, including a summary from our development officer. So having said that, are there any questions? Peter, did you want to expand on this at all? Or?
I can just reiterate what's written in the document is that the proponent is basically intending to mirror the current IRC building, build the new building on the other side of the utilidor from it and bridge the 2 buildings. Sounds like with a fairly similar architectural motif. So, and they're requesting the rear yard setback so that they can line up their the structural elements on the new building with the old building so that the 2 buildings will be parallel with one another. The other building has been running on a 0 with the building at the rear lot line now for several years. No concerns were raised that I'm aware of. You know, I'm not the infrastructure fellow, but no, I'm not aware of any concerns. So if it worked before, it's going to work again. And from a planning perspective, that kind of development on the street side will definitely have a positive aesthetic impact on the main downtown core.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Devlin?
I just had a question just about overall parking. It looks like you're doubling your workforce, and we've had many years of problems with IRC parking on Main Mackenzie. as it stands right now, even with your subsidiary parking lot. So can you speak to parking here at all and what the plans are to accommodate all these extra vehicles that we know inevitably will be with all these new jobs? Thank you.
The plan, which is on page 8 of the memo relating to this, this variance proposal, shows 12 parking stalls, on their lot with the new building.
I'm aware of that. That's what I'm sort of asking the question. Is there 12 spots where right now there are approximately 30? Thank you. And again, to the extra staff that's gonna fill this extra building, has parking been considered in this at all? Thank you.
Maybe
I have not
can-
run, I have not run a planning analysis, as of yet. I came across the variance issue and the design seems sound enough to move it forward to council. This application was received on Thursday afternoon. If council approves the variance, I will be reviewing parking requirements as part of the DP process.
I believe we have a representative from IRC here. Maybe you would like to address that as well.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we are also as part of this work, we will be removing the Northern Images building and converting that lot into parking.
Thank you. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Merrill?
So if you add the spots where the Northern Images building is now, and you add the 12 you're adding, I'm not sure that equals what you currently have, which isn't enough. So how many are you adding over the Northern Images building?
Do we know that?
I don't have an exact number, but in addition to what we're speaking of, the developments of the new apartment building that will be close and center to the building, we hope that a lot of our new employees that occupy that building it'll be a walkable distance, much like the 17 unit. We have a lot of employees in there that currently walk to work. Not an overall strategy as part of that, but we've also approached the GTC in the past to buy land adjacent next to the new proposed building. We've been unsuccessful in that attempt, so we're not gonna hold our breath on that piece of property, but what we have right now is what we have planned.
Go ahead.
Are you planning any parking under the building like you have on the current building?
There's been conversations about it, but I don't have the final details, but if it's council that says this is a requirement that we need to put more parking in, and then we will look at making adjustments to the current plans to ensure that we have adequate parking.
Because I share Councillor Devlin's concern. You're gonna end up with less parking than you have now, but you're gonna have 2 buildings full of people. And while some people might walk from the new apartment building, I'm sure there's lots of other people that are employed in Inuvik that won't be walking from that building.
I think another thing to add is that as part of this, well, we're not so much we are consolidating a bunch of buildings. So for example, we have a considerable number of staff in the Mac Travel building who would likely move over. That's all the same parking pool because it's all the same general area.
So what I'd like to know is how many staff are gonna be in that building and how many parking spaces are needed for just that new building? Because I already know you don't have enough for the current building.
When we come back Wednesday, I'll ensure I have those answers.
That'd be great, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Seeing none, thank you very much. Moving on. 8.3, request for donation of space at the Midnight Sun Complex, Great Northern Arts Festival is asking for free space at the Sundog Room on Tuesday, October 22nd, from 6 to 9 p.m. for their AGM. We have a representative here from GNAF, so if anybody has any questions, Councillor Devlin.
Hi.
Hi.
Traditionally, GNAF has held their AGMs very successfully at our community space at the community library, which is purpose-built and actually priced free for nonprofits. So I'm wondering, have you guys considered going to the old traditional space to run the AGM? Thank you.
If you turn your microphone on, please.
Thank you. I know last year we were at Inuvik Hall, and the past years after that, I don't know, I wasn't here, so. But again, a library, just, is it open every night to the hall to be open, or?
Yeah, it's called the Vicky Billingsley Community Room. It's
Yes.
just to the
Yeah,
right as you
I know
walk
where
in.
it is, yes.
And it's free for nonprofit groups to hold meetings in. And traditionally, the AGMs for many nonprofit groups have been held there successfully. It's a good sized room.
Yes,
And it just allows us not to have to deal with a specific 1 hour donation here at town council, which I think is setting an ugly precedent if we're going to be approving 1 hour donations all the time. So I'm just suggesting that there is a great space already in town purpose built for this, and that might be a better option.
okay,
Make
so,
things go-
so tomorrow I'll go and check it out, and if I have trouble, I'll come back.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, that's great. And we want to thank you very much for last July, all the space that was donated to the festival. And we really appreciate when you donate to it. So
Thank you.
very much.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bylaws, 9.1, third and final reading to appoint Brian Marvin as a bylaw enforcement officer. Any questions? None. 9.2. Amendments to the community plan and bylaw, 2743 zoning bylaw to allow construction of a new hotel similar to the old Eskimo Inn. I'm sure you've all read the background on this, so I'll ask if there's any questions. No questions? Thank you.
Mayor, if I could. Can I speak to
Yes,
that, please?
go ahead.
This is different than the zoning variance for the office building. This will actually require a bylaw. And when I sent out this package, I also advised you that if we are doing first reading on Wednesday and it passes, we then have to take it to a public consultation, which I had scheduled for Thursday. After that public consultation, if it is still a go, then we will have our second reading, then it will go to minister's office for approval, and then back here for your last meeting on October 9th to do a third and final reading if it passes. Yes.
I just ask the reason we need to go to a bylaw for this. I'm not really clear on that.
It's because we are changing zones. It's not just a conditional use. So the existing. Unknown caller. So the existing building, actually, Peter can explain it a little bit better than myself, but the existing properties, one is commercial, one is residential. And we need to rezone the residential one up onto Inuvik to allow for the parking as well as some of the overhang of the hotel. So therefore it is actually more commercial. So we have to rezone that residential part.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Wayne.
When they're originally had their hotel there, what was it zoned as? The backside was hotel before too. It was part of the hotel on the backside.
It was considered an R1. What's happened in the past is in the past as well, right? So this is a legacy building that perhaps back then the zoning was different, but the zoning as it stands right now is one is commercial, which is the Mackenzie side, and the Inuvik side is residential, R2. So it will have to be changed to commercial. That's why we have to have a
So
bylaw.
in the past, it was It was not R2, that's it, wasn't it? Because there was a hotel in the back.
Yes, I would have to look back through when it was originally built, the Eskimo Inn. But as it stands right now in our zoning bylaw, it is a R2.
The old Eskimo Inn may have been grandfathered when it was built. And then the zoning changed, so that's similar to some of the houses on Franklin that are actually in a commercial zone. And the condition is when something is grandfathered, if it's torn down or burned down or whatever, they cannot rebuild. They can renovate, but they can't rebuild on that property.
Yeah, that was
So
my
I think it's
question.
very similar to the Eskimo Inn.
All right,
I hope that helped a little bit.
very much. I was trying to understand it, that's all.
If I might add, the 2024 proposed zoning bylaw creates a new zone type called downtown core, which combines commercial and mixed use elements, which is suitable for a hotel. And this downtown core zone will cover both sides of Mackenzie Road as well as both sides of Tununic Place. So under the 2024 zoning bylaw, if it had gone to third reading by now, and it hasn't, we would not be having this discussion because the hotel would be able to be built both of those lots on Tununic and on Mackenzie would be appropriate zoning for hotel. So in a way, we're kind of speed charging getting this site zoned equivalent with the 2024 plan so that because the developer is asked to start putting in foundations fairly soon. And while I have the mic, I'll just put in response to our previous question about parking. The zoning bylaw that is currently in effect in commercial areas requires one parking stall per 100 square meters of office floor space. I do not know exactly how big this building will be, but I will check that before Wednesday.
Deputy Mayor Merrill.
Clarence, could you please check how that applies to the current building? Because how that building was built, a lot of the interior was an atrium that's now been filled in with office space. So my guess is the current number of parking spots may not meet the current amount of office space.
If it doesn't, it would be grandfathered at this stage.
Okay, thanks.
Anything further? Okay, moving on. Item 10, department updates. First, we have corporate services. If you'd like to come up to the mic.
Good evening, everybody. Can you bring it up? Yeah, I just click one of it. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, not very much today. The other directors will speak to the capital projects and how far they've gone, whether they are for negative variances or any. The final budget for 2024 has been concluded to posted on the website before the end of the week, most likely tomorrow. Next slide. What we accomplished during the last period, we just concluded oral collect bookkeeping and finance officer training for AP and AR staff. And that will continue next month with another training for the other staff that I have. We received the final part of the land sale deposits from GTC. And we're still awaiting the draft statement for the 2023 financial statement audit. So we know finalize that with markup after that. What's coming up? Based on the final budget, we'll be updating our financial system with those figures, so we're able to make appropriate comparison. And that will lead us into the commencement of 2025 interim budget cycle. We intend to send out to directors this week the templates and what is required for them to begin to plan for 2025. And I commence my vacation for 3 weeks next week.
Any questions for Director Odiasi? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next, we have 10.2, the infrastructure update.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, so I'll just run through a couple of capital projects that we have currently going on. I haven't included any of the financials Director Steven was talking about, but yes, I'll probably do that for the next time we have one. So this is the first one on there is the landfill berm and electric fence. Construction is currently underway, and in preparation for that, we have installed the blue bins all around town in places where they are required. And today was the last day we had slated for picking up of the individual wooden boxes. So going forward, everybody in town should be utilizing the blue bins that have been placed in the vicinity of their houses. Next slide, please. The solar farm project. So the clearing and brushing for that is completely done. Survey for the piles and the fence has also been completed. They are currently waiting for a little bit of colder weather, so the ground is a little bit harder, so they can mulch, install the piles, and for the fence. So materials are already delivered on site. That's the picture on the right hand side of the screen. Block 3494, the new utility, the construction of the utility system for the new development area, that is nearing completion. In about 2 weeks or so, we should have water flowing in those pipes. And NTPC have also commenced installing the poles, and they were supposed to actually energize those poles this weekend, but it looks like the power shutdown did not go ahead. So I'm not sure why that happened, but yes, we're nearing completion there as well, and we should be out of that within the next couple of weeks. Hidden Lake Biomass Project. So this is now complete. It was commissioned last weekend. The unit is now functional and will help us with heating up the water from that station. The train has also been done for the staff, so we should be able to manage this. Once the weather is colder, we'll have that running, and that's going to be our new heating system for the water in that area. The MSC structural assessment project. So we had the geotech done. The drilling and geotech has been, they've taken all of the samples. Those have been sent to the lab for analysis, and we're expecting the report from the engineers. As you can see there, the pool, all the fittings we identified that had the leaks, that was the source of the leak we're experiencing. That has all now been covered. They started tiling today. So the the hope is they should be done with tiling before the end of this week. And we just need to wait a little bit for curing before we can fill up with water to do leak test and figure, and hopefully we'll address all the leaks at this time. So a couple of other activities we've been doing around town, which is outside of the project itself. We're currently working on the drainage by the school. I think the contractor started that this morning. We're trying to resolve the issue we have with the pooling water right behind there by the school that probably poses a bit of danger for the kids. We're working on the drainage behind, that's actually complete now, the one on the right, the one behind the Northview office. So in the past, there's always water pooling in that area, and that was beginning to affect the piles we have for the utility there. So the contractor has built that up and created a channel for the water to flow. So hopefully next spring, we shouldn't have a repeat of that problem. Utility pile leveling. So as you can see the before and after photos, so we had a contractor working on all, well, not all, but some of the wooden, some of the utilities we still have on wooden piles. They tend to, over the years, with frost jacking, the thaw and freeze cycle, the piles tend to come up, and then we begin to have our utilities looking like waves. So we've had a couple of those fixed this season, and as you can see on the right hand side, we have the after photos of those same utilities looking straight and level. Next slide. Road repair. We finally got delivery of our coal mix, and we started working on patching a couple of the potholes we have in town. There's still a lot more to go, but the plan is to eventually get to all of them as we make progress. Thank you for the time. Any questions?
Questions? Councilor Kulikowski.
I've had a couple people come to me and ask me about the zoning of the solar farm for the MSC and whether that area is a park or green space, or if it's been zoned to be industrial, commercial, or whatever it needs to be what it's going to be. I just had two different people come to me with it, so I thought I'd ask it here, so that we can make sure that we have all our i's and t's dotted and crossed as well.
Fantastic question. I don't know what the zone for, what the zoning for that area is off the top of my head. I don't know if Peter is still on the call, but if it's not, there was a development permit submitted, and he must have probably checked all of that before he approved it. But yes, I could have a look at what that is and get back to you guys by Wednesday.
Thank you.
Other questions, Councilor Day?
Can we get more gravel added to the new bin locations? Some of them are very steep, and some elderly people have a tough time climbing to dispose of the garbage.
Okay. Yes, we'll look into that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. 10.4, Parks, Recreation and Leisure, Director Crew. We have no protective services tonight. If you're wondering why I skipped that one.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I'd just like to apologize for the oversight on my administration and directing the GNAF people to ask for a donation. It was an oversight on my part, so I will correct that tomorrow morning quite quickly. This summer, we had 8 weeks of summer camp with the revitalization of Camp Kavuni. We serviced 144 kids over the summer, so it was great. Staff were great. The kids really enjoyed it, so it'll go again next year. The GNAF Festival, again, kudos to my staff for getting everything organized. Addie and her team were great to work with. They were understanding with, there were things we could do or we couldn't do, so that was in July. Pretty much right after that was the Northern Games. Again, my staff were boots on the ground, making sure things were set up, cleaned daily. great event to have here in town. And then into August, we had our Fiddle and Flow. Some more staff from my department to assist with economic development tourism to be able to host that event. Over the summer, we hosted, Inuvik Fast Pitch and Inuvik Softball. I think they had about 5 beer gardens this summer. We did have some issues, but they were addressed. So we're gonna be looking at changing a couple things for next year to have them hosting again. So that's kind of where we are. So we learned some things this summer from hosting beer gardens. We just had a arena level 1 and ice making course here at the arena. We had 4 staff from Parks and Rec attending there with a few other staff from out of town, Yellowknife. So I'm taking a shake from the top of my head. Staff have been encouraged to take various professional development opportunities with funding from MACO for their own professional development. If they have the time, they can do them online or they attend them in person. So that's been great. Staff are getting trained. Again, we were a partner in the venue for the Cherry Fox Run. Trace was a part of that. He had said there was, I think he said 45 or 55 people and they raised like $1,850. So great, that's awesome. We just had the ITK General Assembly there again, set up tech work. Staff went out of the way to make sure everybody was happy with the results at the Midnight Sun Complex. Just more recently, we had community registration night and lost and found night for people to sign up to new programs. Or if they're new to town, they can find out what's happening. Or if they're not new to town and they had some stuff left, you know, we can pick it up for lost and found. And then this weekend, we're hosting our first glow in the dark skate to kick off at the arena. Some more updates. Suicide prevention walk. We were primarily venue and some miscellaneous setup things. Boot camp is starting again tomorrow evening. So that's super exciting. Our visual sports imaging, we have 3 TVs at the Midnight Sun Complex right now for advertising information things, and we're also getting some revenue sharing from having these TVs there. So they're gonna be great for hockey parents that are looking to find out what dressing room they're in, other advertising posters or information, so we can use these almost on the daily, so that's great. We're getting a little more involved with our universe booking software, and Trace is working behind the scenes on that. And our vending machine we purchased last year has just been going over immensely popular. You know, we filled it with various snacks. Right now it's filled with tape, hockey stick, wax, laces. So we've been using that for some small revenue making and doing that as well. So. And just some pictures from the arena. If you look really, really closely at that blue line, those are Northwest Territory flags on the blue line, Canadian flags on the red line, and we've got 2 giant Town of Inuvik logos on either side of the arena this year. So the staff made the ice look, it looks great. We actually had 65 or 60 something kids today for public skating. It was a madhouse in there. But the kids are super happy to be there, and we're excited to have the arena open earlier than expected this year.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Deborah.
Not a question, just a comment, just saying, man, you guys had quite the summer, and kudos to you and the team, and economic development and tourism. That the park was happening all summer. You've just shown, I mean, the great partnerships that you guys had this summer as well. And I saw the arena last night just after you guys had finished everything, and man, it looks really, really good. So just really proud of you guys. Just want to say kudos to some great programming coming out of Recs and Parks.
Thank you. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Merrill.
That red and blue line could start a whole new trend.
The folks from Yellowknife are really, really jealous of them.
There you go.
Next thing, we'll have the NHL here taking notes. Good job, everyone.
I'll wait till the scoreboard goes up.
Moving on, that's all the reports we have for tonight. So 11.1 strategic priorities chart. Any questions? Which brings us to item 12, council concerns. Being none. We have no in camera tonight, so a motion to adjourn. Council Deputy Mayor Merrill, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. By the way, we have 16 people running for council and you for mayor. So it's actually good to see a normal election for a change.
Excellent. The guy who's here, really?